In this video, you are going to hear me discuss a dark secret that could be one of the Commanders' biggest impediments to success. But don't worry, because I might have also figured out the solution. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to discuss the edge rusher position. Trey Hendrickson is on the open market. Max Crosby could be on the move. Adam Peters has a first-round pick burning a hole in his pocket. But none of those avenues are ones I'm choosing to go down in this video. Instead, we're going to be looking at a potentially crippling issue, but one that may have a solution waiting right under the coach's nose, whether they do or do not know about it. Guys, we are about to jump into this, but first and foremost, got to say a huge thank you all for helping me get to 3,000 subscribers. I am so incredibly grateful. I'm going to be looking to do some sort of giveaway in the near future. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but if you guys do want to be a part of it, I can tell you right now, some of the requirements are going to be, you got to be subscribed to the channel, and you do have to leave a like on the video. So why don't you go ahead and knock that out? And also leaving a like is the number one way you can support the content here. Again, so humbled by you guys, so appreciative of the support. And we are only just getting started. We're building a family here. You guys are all a part of it, especially you guys who are active in the comments section. Whether we agree, whether we disagree, the fact you are participating says a lot, says you are a part of this family. So thank you for being along for the journey. But enough of the enough of the sentimental, mushy stuff out of the way. Let's talk about what I want to get to in this video here. So Dorance Armstrong is out for the year. The Commanders had released Jalen Holmes before the Cowboys game. They did just re-sign him. So the edge rusher room, which only had three healthy active players, now up to 4. You've now got Jalen Holmes, Von Miller, Jalen Holmes, Von Miller, Jacob Martin, and Preston Smith. Of course, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Dietrich Wise are on IR. Dorance Armstrong on the season-ending IR as well. So with the state of the team right now, with the lack of picks you have, you're likely going to get a compensatory pick for Jon Allen. So right now you only have 6 picks, probably gets up to 7 by the time the draft rolls around, but still you're not stuffed with picks. Also, we know that with your record, you're not really in a position to go all in, move the chips to the center of the table to get a Max Crosby. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to trade a pick for Trey Hendrickson when he's just going to leave at the end of the year. And then you don't want to re-sign him to a big deal because he's 31 years old, I believe. None of those solutions make sense. But the edge rusher problem is actually probably even more of an impediment, to use that word, than we're discussing right now. So I want to pivot this and I want to talk about Frankie Luvu, because I have seen a lot of comments, a lot of thoughts out there that moving Frankie Luvu to the edge rusher position is the solution. Well, this is where the alarm bells start to go off. So Frankie Luvu this season has an 11.6% win rate on true pass sets when he is rushing the quarterback. A true pass set is a drop back pass. No screens, no RPOs, obviously no runs. That 11.6% win rate is the 3rd lowest among qualified players on the Commanders. The only players who are lower are Eddie Goldman and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. So he is below Wise, Preston Smith, Von Miller, Jacob Martin, Dorance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw. Matter of fact, just to give you guys some perspective here, I said Luvu's at 11.6%. Armstrong was at 17.7%. Smith in much fewer opportunities, but in the couple games he's been here, he's up at 33%. So give that to him. Vaughn is at 15.5%. Kinlaw's just under 13%. Payne's about 12.3%. Luvu down at 11.6%. He did not register pressure, did not win a single pass rush rep against the Cowboys in Week 7. Why is that a big issue? With the injuries, with the shuffling of the roster, just trying to figure out something that works, because this defense has been pretty grotesque. We saw Frankie Luvu get a season-high split of reps at the edge position. He had, I want to say, 29 reps on the defensive line, 30 in the box. So a near 50-50 split. Now, obviously, Jalen Holmes was not available for that game, and he does figure to get more playing time moving forward. But still, Frankie Luvu was a great pass rusher for us last year. It seems very Seems like a knee-jerk reaction to say, well, if you've got a vacancy at edge rusher, put Frankie Luvu there. He's not been very effective this season. He's got 2 sacks and 7 pressures all year. To put that in perspective, Dietrich Wise had 4 pressures. He basically only played 1 game and a half, whatever it was against the Giants and then against the Packers. So he was already more than halfway to Luvu's total pressures in, 1/5 of the time, 1/6 of the time. Again, just to keep this in perspective for you moving forward. According to Sumer Sports, the Commanders only rushed 4 players on 69% of opponents' passes. They rushed 5 on 24%. They rushed 6 on 5.5%, and they rushed 3 on 1.5%. They have not rushed 7 all year long. So again, let me bring this back to the big number. They rushed 4 on 69% of plays. Luvu, as a linebacker, a blitzing linebacker, does a very good job when he is rushing from that position. However, he alone, when he's lined up at defensive end or when he's 1 of 4 getting after the quarterback, he has not done a great job. Opposing offensive lines have done a good job. If you listen to what Joe Wood Jr. says in his press conference, they've done a better job of treating him as a big. So they have him going against a legitimate tackle. They have him working off of double teams. He is getting chip blocks. He has not found anywhere near the same amount of success that he did last season. Now, generating pressure is crucial for the Commanders, crucial to their success. If you look at their season marks, they generate pressure about 39% of the time. That's 5th in the NFL. However, there have been clear diminishing returns over the last few weeks. In week 5, they were 15th in the league in pressure percentage. In week 6, they were 17th. In week 7, the one against the Cowboys, they were 22nd. So there's a clear downward spiral occurring. Obviously, you've just lost Dorance Armstrong for the year. Yes, you have brought Jalen Holmes back to give you another body, but let's be honest. 2 of those bodies are players that were not on the roster at the beginning of the season, Jalen Holmes and Preston Smith. And the other bodies, Von Miller and Jacob Martin, probably at the bottom of your list of players you were looking to step up in the pass rush department. Again, if everything was a perfect world back at the beginning of the season. Now, call me a pessimist, but I'm not overly confident if you continue to just rush 4 players, you'll be able to generate a ton of pressure with Preston Smith and Jalen Holmes and Jacob Martin. And Jacob Martin played a great game against the Cowboys. I want to give him that. But from a broader perspective for the entire season, adding Von Miller into that mix, do I think those 4 players are going to consistently get home as part of 4-man rushes? I don't. I also don't think putting Frankie Luvu at the edge position is the answer. The numbers will show you that he's not done a good job. And also, in the run game, if Preston Smith can't set the edge, if Jalen Holmes can't set the edge, Frankie Luvu is going to do an even worse job because he is a smaller man than those players, and that's not his natural position. Yes, he can do a good job rushing the quarterback as a weak side linebacker. Can he do a good job setting the edge as an edge player? No, that's not his specialty. That's not what he's there to do. I would have a difficult time getting angry at him for failing to perform that duty because that's not what he's on the team to do. You don't purposefully put players in positions where they're likely to fail and then criticize the result. That doesn't make any sense. So it's like trying to keep 2 dogs in a bathtub, this defense. If you can't generate pressure, the defense isn't going to give up or is going to give up big plays. If you find ways to generate pressure, it's going to be good up front, but then you're going to have lots of space in the middle of the field. And if you allocate more resources to guarding that with zone coverage, well, now the back end gets strained with communication and they give up big plays. You can never get every unit on this defense to work together at the same time. So what I'm looking at with the Commanders, I think that they're going to be forced, and not necessarily, this is not a bad thing necessarily, might make them a little more predictable, might mean they don't have their full arsenal available to them, but I do think the Commanders are going to be forced into bringing pressure with at least 5 players more times than they were earlier in the season. Bringing 4 on 70% of plays, I don't think you're going to survive with the edge rotation that I've talked about. So this isn't a bad thing. This presents big opportunities. Again, it's been a lot of bad up to this point in the season, or up to this point in the video, when you consider how the rest of the season is going to unfold based on what we have seen in recent weeks. Allow me to be a bearer of change, of positive thoughts here. I'm not a football genius. This could easily not work out. But the way I see it, it is a solution that is worth trying. Or at least it's a plan that's worth trying. And maybe if it works, it does become the solution. So I believe the Commanders are going to be forced to bring 5 more often. You can find a way to mix in more fire zones to help you out. That doesn't have to be straight man coverage, but I do think that this is the future for the Commanders. The way I see it, with coverage on the back end not being trusted to hold up the longer that a play stretches out, I think the way to go about this, especially if you are utilizing these fire zones, is you get Jordan Magee and Kain Medrano out on the field. Now, there are risks that come with this, and this could blow up in your face. But the Commanders' current defense is already blowing up. I don't need to think about it. I have seen it happen. I know what the reality is. Yeah, Kain Medrano could get out there and be totally lost. Maybe he can't tackle. Maybe Jordan Magee can't play zone coverage. But the starters can't play zone coverage. Some of the starters are getting cooked in man coverage. Commanders' defensive metrics against the pass for most of the year are pretty terrible. And they were terrible dating back to last year. So at this point, why not try something different? Why not at least open your eyes to the possibility and give it a series? Give it a quarter. Give it a play, a big third down. Just give it a look. Here's my solution. Putting Frankie Luvu at the edge limits your defense. However, one thing that we know and one thing the coaching staff knows is Bobby Wagner is proven to be one of the best blitzing linebackers in the entire NFL. So, if you get to a third down look, while Frankie Luvu doesn't do a great job being one of 4 rushing against the quarterback, again, the numbers will tell you that, if he's one of 5, I think you can make something funky work here. So if you have Jacob Martin, actually, let's go Von Miller, Jacob Martin at the 3 technique, Daron Payne, Frankie Luvu over here with Bobby as a blitzing linebacker. If we're dropping Jordan Magee back as part of a fire zone, all of a sudden we've got speed in the middle of the field. And when you play zone coverage, especially if you're blitzing 5 off of that, you need speed. You need to be able to cover blades of grass. Bobby Wagner at this stage of his career does not give you the ability to do that. You've seen that numerous times throughout the course of the season. Also, Magee's speed theoretically should allow him to stick with running backs. Can he guard one over the middle of the field? I don't know. They're working on those drills in practice. The coaching staff will know better than me. But I know that some of these linebackers, specifically the 2 that dominate all the snaps, they can't do it either. Frankie Luvu can't play man coverage, man match coverage with the running back. Bobby Wagner can't do it either. Okay, what about Kain Medrano? Well, Medrano was drafted for several reasons, but one of which was his positional versatility. And he's very raw. He's got a long way to go. He's a 6th-round pick for a reason. However, as a converted wide receiver, should he have some of the hip fluidity, some of the stop-start, this acceleration and the speed to use his size, but also those skills and that God-given ability, should he be able to use that to play man coverage with a tight end on a third down in which you're blitzing 5 and it's man coverage and the ball's coming out of the quarterback's back's hands quickly? Yeah, I think that's a solution. Would I want Frankie Luvu on the edge every single play? No, of course not. But if this is how we're going to go about it, if the Commanders are going to put him up on the line and we get to these third down spots with Bobby Wagner's ability to get after the quarterback as a blitzer, he's been a total liability in coverage. So let's put him in a position where he can succeed. Let's also find a way to get our young guys reps, but also maximize their talents in a way that the starters currently can't. You can't drop out Bobby back into coverage and ask him to hold up. You can't drop Frankie Luvu back into coverage, just like you can't ask Frankie Luvu to line up at the edge and beat a left tackle when you're only rushing 4. I feel as if this approach allows you to, again, create a rising tide lifts all ships and get more out of every single player. Trading for players right now really shouldn't be an option, again, given the lack of picks and the team record. So getting these players on the field, adding more speed to your defense, potentially creating less coverage mishaps. Medrano's size over the middle of the field, tackling has been an issue as well. And Medrano isn't a great tackler. That was the knock on him coming out of UCLA. But if you don't like him in this spot, why don't we get Jordan Magee out there? Maybe can we just get more comfortable going with a 4-3 defense where we have the 4 linemen up front. We can blitz Luvu off of that. And now it's Bobby Wagner, who does have great zone coverage instincts, just might not have the speed right now. Pair him up with a Magee who can cover tons of the field. These different looks are not only things that opposing coordinators won't be seen on tape because they haven't done them this year, but they would allow you to get your young guys on the field. They would put your current veteran linebackers in less compromising positions, and they could potentially add a new wrinkle to the defense. Guys, this is just my thought on an approach the Commanders could take to maximize some of their defensive potential. I could be totally wrong here, but I am interested to gauge your thoughts and your feelings about what I said. So make sure you guys go down to the comment section below. Give me, again, your thoughts on everything I said here. Do you think that this is something you would like to see the Commanders try moving forward? And if so, what would that look like? I'll be reading and responding to as many comments as I possibly can. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Second upload of the day. Hope you guys liked it. I will catch you for the hot takes tomorrow. I know they didn't come earlier today. Hot take Wednesday will be a thing. We got a Monday night game next week. Think of that. This is my extra day off, even though I posted twice today. I've been rambling for too long, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all joining me. As I always say, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.
Chew with me.